All right. So we're going to talk about my little fun project that I rage coded and vibe coded. Both those things happen. Vibe raging. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
with code. So the project,
don't come back together.
yeah. The project that I made was I called magaScreener for hopefully obvious reasons, but I'll talk about what it is and why I made it, and then the technology underneath it, because it's actually quite interesting, some of the stuff that's underneath, which is what I really wanted to share about. So the project itself is kind of silly, but we live in stupid times, so we have to do stupid things. And so the only thing it does is, just like this little GIF here is showing, is you upload a document and it tells you if you have any language in that document that might get screened with our current regime. And so you can't use words like gender or female.
Did you use the actual
Um,
file that they had?
yeah, so this was shared on Blue Sky, and I even linked to it here. This was the person's post who linked to at least with respect to NSF. I mean, they had all these things that you're not allowed to include according to this executive order. Um, so, you can't use these words. So these are the words, and you can search through them. Um, and
Is it true that woman is on the list
yes,
and man is not?
yes, like woman is here, women underrepresented, but man is male or man is not. And I know this because we were writing a paper. Oh, we do have male at birth, right? So maybe, okay, so maybe there is some words that might get triggered, but it's that joint word, so that probably won't. That probably, if you just say male, it won't get triggered. But because we have survey results in a paper and it flagged female, so we have to say male and non-male for our survey responses on a government paper. Anyway, that's again, stupid times, stupid solutions. So that's all this thing does. It's this little app, you upload a doc, and I'll show you, just kind of working. And I did my best to make it support like anything. I mean, you can upload an Excel sheet, a CSV file, so data files even that have keywords in them that might be troubling. And you upload it, and then you hit analyze, and it prints out and it makes some little snarky messages like, oh, has some words on the naughty list. No First Amendment rights for you. Um, so, and it tells you which words you are. So it's not going to remove them or even do anything. It's just going to tell you, hey, these are here. You might need to revise them. And yeah, like let's just make sure it does work. Like, a docx file, analyze it. Oh, potentially woke language detected. Your document might cause pearl clutching. This
How
is
many of those messages?
this is fun. This is the best use of AI I had in the whole project, was give me lots of snarky messages, and it was like, just here's like 10. It was great. So it just picks them up. So and it does work to show you like those little test files. Like if I open this file and edit, I says the word diversity 3 times, and I get rid of other things like female and these words. If I get rid of those, I believe I'll get a green light here. What? Now, oh, it's probably because that's already open. Oh, I just have to analyze it again? No. There it is. Okay. Analyze doc. Hey, your document is officially woke free. Okay. So it's kind of silly. And it is, the only annoying thing is, I mean, so it's running in Shiny Lab, and I'll talk about that in a minute, like how this works and stuff, but it does take a little bit to load, so when if you hit refresh, it might take as much as 30 seconds. Once it's in your browser, it's pretty fast. Like you just saw it working. It's working pretty quickly. And I have some strategies, there's some really stupid things you can do, like change O with 0, and that doesn't, solve the problem. But, or even this one, you can change from, just Unicode that looks exactly like an A, but it's actually Greek, and so it doesn't trigger. Really dumb things, but and now, so now that I made it, I'm thinking actually this could be useful for a lot of different purposes, not just this stupid purpose, but you might just have other contexts where you want to upload a list of keywords that you're not allowed to use, and then upload a doc and check it. And so I could actually, I might modify this to just be sort of like a general word screener app where it allows you to upload that list as opposed to just using this set of predefined keywords. However, one of the things that is potentially very dangerous here that you should be concerned about if you're a user is, what if I just set this up as a big phishing scam to get all of your documents? I mean, like, every time you upload a document, where is it going? Like, I didn't tell you. Actually, I do tell you, because I tell you about how it works right here. I'm as transparent as it can be. And this is why open source is important, to know As I could have been like, yeah, upload your bank statements, upload things that have your social security information in it. And I'm just gathering all this information about all these people. So I wanted to be clear that I'm not doing that because the whole thing runs locally in your browser. And that's the part that is really clever. So I built this as a Shiny app first, and then I immediately had that insight and was like, well, who's going to want to upload? Well, okay, so uninformed users might upload to this, but anyone who's going to take a second thought might go, hey, this is maybe a scam. So I tried to make it really clear that, hey, this is running using WebAssembly. So when you upload a document, that's why I'm going back and forth between two tabs. Because if I go like this and I go back, it like reloads again. So it takes a minute. So I'm keeping it keeping it open in two tabs because if I want to show it again, it'll take a little bit to load. But what it's doing is now it's launched. It's taking my Shiny app code, shipping it to my browser, and now everything is running locally in my browser. My entire Shiny app is built using R code, but it's running that R code in the browser using WebAssembly. So nothing gets sent anywhere. Your document is just being processed locally.
Is there a different term than upload, maybe, to use that?
Yeah, maybe I should. I don't know though. What's the right word? Say upload.
Load. It's like a local upload.
Local upload to this browser, right? Something like that. I mean, obviously, if you read the about page, it's clear what this is doing, and of course you can also locally run it. Like if you just don't want to use the web app, the source code is here. You can just clone the repo and run it locally, and that's also fine. But I thought, what an interesting use of Shiny Live. So I'll talk about Shiny Live now because this is actually not an insignificant point to make. Like when I originally made this, I just, as soon as I made it, I was like, great. Oh crap, I have a security problem. And so running something live in the browser it's actually kind of a nice feature. So I'll talk about Shiny Live and how it works because I only heard about this and it just came out, I think, a couple years ago. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, well, that's clever, but I didn't really think of a use case that, that made sense for me. And so this was the first time where I actually realized, actually, this is like a really good, a really critical piece. So the way this works is you typically, I'm not going to cover Shiny apps in detail, but a Shiny app is either in R or Python now. They support both. And it's a very simple way of making a web app without needing to know a lot of stuff like JavaScript. You just write Python code and you get a web app, or just R code, you get a web app. But usually you have a server that is serving that application, right? And so that code lives on a server, and what it's shipping out is basically connections to it, right? So people go to that site, they get a session live, they can interact with it. Usually it's like dashboards and stuff, playing with data. But everything's coming back to the server. And so this is the potential problem. You'd be uploading your document and it would be going to some server. And that's I didn't want that to happen. So Shiny Live, the visual diagram is this, where the server is actually, all it has to do is ship out a static web page. And that static web page embeds the entire application in your browser. So it's not shipping connections to one local server. It's shipping full applications to each browser. And then it's running the app using one of these two versions of WebAssembly. So WebAssembly is a totally witchcraft project that is, I don't know how any of this works. Somebody figured out how to basically write C code in JavaScript or something. I don't know. It's wild what you can do with this stuff, but you can run Python code and you can run R code in your browser via JavaScript without really having to think too much. So total magic.
Work on phones and stuff well, or is it going to be much
don't know.
slower?
I don't know, actually. I would assume so because it's just another web browser. If you have Chrome on your phone, it probably should. Actually, no, I know it does because I've used this app on my phone. So yes, it does work. So you do have to have the page being served to you. Yeah, good question. I don't know. If the page is loaded in your browser and then you disconnect, it might still work. We'll try it. We'll try it, but then we'll kill the Zoom connection. So I'm not going to do that. Or someone else do it. Someone else do it and see if it works. If you Google magaScreener, so I chose a fun name that's also very easily identifiable. So magaScreener I think it's number 2 on Google. Anyway,
now it's number 1.
Now it's number 1. Okay, we're getting there. For better or worse. If you don't hear from me tomorrow, just let me know. Let me know. Right? Yeah, you heard me. That's right.
Whoever didn't arrive, raise your hand.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought this was such a smart thing, and this is all props to the team at, I mean, this is a Posit product as and Joe Chung and others, the many others at who originally built Shiny. And when I saw this debuted a couple years ago, I went to the what used to be the R Studio conference. It was the last R Studio conference. It's now PositConf. But I was just like, man, that is so clever. Like they just took advantage of this whole WebAssembly innovation that's been going on its own, and these connections to it. So Pyodine for Python and WebR for R. And now we can just run, run these two really heavily used languages in the browser directly. It's very, very cool. There are so many cool applications of those things, like just people who have tutorial websites where you can run Python and R code live in the browser with no server connection at all. It's a static web page, and you can run R code and like tinker with it. So the educational opportunities here, it's like having a Jupyter notebook with just no server on a static page. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, that's the technology behind it. And they have some examples. They have shinylive.io, and you can run it for Python or R. And this is like a, a live example where, this is the app. So just to give you if you are not familiar with Shiny, the way a typical Shiny app looks, there is no difference between this and Shiny Live. I mean, the app, if I ran this code locally as a normal Shiny app on my computer in R, like it would run and it would look exactly like this. Like this is the output. So let's say Hello Shiny is the classic one where it's a histogram and you can change the number of bins and you see. So this is like the Hello World example if you're a Shiny developer. Every time you learn Shiny, this is like the first app you learn. And just to understand that this is what Shiny is about. It's interactivity, right? And so this app is normal. It's a normal Shiny app. It's just now it's running in your browser using WebAssembly. And they have all these different, and it's very snappy. It's amazing. This is a static web page. Like, there's no server, and it just works. Very fun. So it's running, I think, ggplot code probably here. Yeah. So oh no, it's just just a normal base R plotting here, rendering this plot. So if you can write a Shiny app, then now you know how to use Shiny Live effectively as well. You just have to connect the two things. And so there are lots of great tutorials. I did not know how to do this before making this app. Like I said, I started by making a Shiny app, and the only reason I didn't publish it immediately was of this concern about security. And I remembered, oh yeah, there is this Shiny Live. And so there's limitations to it, because when it ships in this little diagram, and it's shipping that app to you, it has to ship R and all the packages that you need for your app, as well as the app. Like all of that has to ship to your browser, which is why my app takes like 30 seconds to load, because it's shipping a lot of stuff to your browser. And if
all
you
the data too.
Well, there's no data in mine. Mine's just
but
code.
for those plots.
For those plots and things, yeah, there's small data sets and things. So if you're shipping like a very large data set, there are strategies, I think, for dealing with this. I was reading a little more about how do I deal with like larger apps. My case, my app is relatively simple and small, but it was the dependencies on all these other packages, because I wanted to support all these file types. So I needed to be able to read in an Excel sheet and read a CSV and read a PDF, and I had all of them working great on my machine. And then I tried to do Shiny Live, and I was like, oh, that's not supported. So I had to go cut that out and find another solution. So dependency problems can limit your capabilities here. But we have tools for this now. So one example is the PDF. Like I had this great PDF solution that was really clean, just a few lines of code, very easy. I mean, all I'm doing is extracting text, so it's not that hard. But that PDF package was not supported by Shiny Live, at least not yet. So I just told Claude, and I was like, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you just make one out of pure JavaScript for me? And it was like, sure. So the PDF functionality in this is pure JavaScript. I have no idea how to write that on my own. I certainly could not have done that on my own. And after a little bit of trial and error, it fixed the problem for me. So I kind of modularized the types of things what can I support? What can I support? And I found solutions that were either native base R or just pure JavaScript if I know it's going to run in the browser. So so that was the whole workflow of setting this up. Now I do want to highlight one more thing, which is that this is a Quarto website. Whoops. So the website itself is still just a Quarto website. And so if you look at the source code, most of what you see in here is like Quarto pages, like this about page. That's all it is. I mean, it's like one line of code. It looks like a lot of stuff. Oh, I have I'm using child files because there's some common content that the description content that you see here, how it works and all of this, that's also in the README. So the README page, this is another little tip if people don't know how to do this. Like if you just write Markdown for all your stuff, all I have to do is write that once. So here's a description file as a R Markdown. That's the main content. And then I just drop it into two places. I drop it into my README file like this. So it just says drop in the description. And I also dropped it into the about page you just saw. So I only write it in one place and then I can send it around different places. But the other page is like the strategies page is just Markdown, right? It's just bullet points and stuff. So it's primarily a Quarto website, except for the screener page. Like if you go to the actual screener page, this thing has to load for a bit. And what's going on in there, that's the index. The main page has this shiny live R code chunk. So this is my app, which has a lot of stuff, right? I mean, it's massive. And I wrote 10% of it. Claude wrote the rest. I had a really nice, simpler one, but I had to start pulling back dependencies and doing stuff. And so we co-created this app itself. So if you want to just run the app, and this is all you need is this. But this whole approach of embedding a Shiny Live app via a Quarto page, a Quarto website, is all in this really nice tutorial. The how it works section really is worth sitting down and tinkering with if you ever want to make one of these yourself. But this tutorial was what I followed about how to make our Shiny Live app inside a Quarto doc. Because I think if what your goal is to make a single static page that can run something interactive, then these things are not interactive, right? Like nothing about these pages require interactivity. These can just be pure static pages. So there's a lot of value in saying I'm going to leverage the structure of a Quarto website to put all my static content up so it doesn't have to load in my browser and take forever to run. And just have the one bit that actually requires a server to some extent, in this case, a browser-based server using WebAssembly. That might take a minute to load, but everything else is static, right? So I thought that was this tutorial. I came across this one when I was trying to figure out how do I deploy a Shiny Live app. I thought this was a great solution because I see a lot of Shiny apps that look like this. In fact, I'll show you another one. One that I've built. Shoot, let's go find it. It's my keyboard app. Do I have it on my thing here? Keyboards are somewhere. My obscure life of keyboards here. At the very bottom, I try not to let people know how much of a keyboard weirdo I am. I must have lost it here. Hang on.
That lightning talk did not help in your.
No, don't watch the lightning talk. I mean, this is it. This is what it is. My link is broken, so let's go find it. There? No colon. Here? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So this is a Shiny app where it has, this is for comparing keyboards. So we're going way off topic here. But these, I mean, it kind of looks like a website, right? There's about page, there's a keyboards page. These pages are static. There's no reason that this needs to be part of the Shiny app itself. And so I'm like, well, this is just really a wasted use of a server. Like I'm serving this whole app, but my Shiny app is the only part that really I needed R code for was this part where it's interactive and I'm clicking on keyboards and you're able to compare the layouts and stuff. So I could revise this entire Shiny app to have that section also be Shiny Live. Like there's no reason this couldn't be a Shiny Live app. Because it could all be, just static files that I ship out to you. So this could run in the browser and these could be static pages because this is just a DT table. There's nothing fancy about that, right? So this architecture for operating Shiny Live I thought was really smart. And that tutorial here was a huge improvement. I originally had like all of this as pieces of a giant Shiny app, just like I had here. And that revision to go, I'm going to go Shiny Live and I'm going to just isolate it to this one page really made the whole thing so much easier to build. Yeah.
Super quick question. If you were doing Python, because Shiny does Python, would
Same thing.
Quarto do Python?
Yeah, same thing. So the key piece that makes this happen is this extension. Another hugely valuable thing about Quarto that is not well appreciated yet, I don't think, is that it has an extension ecosystem. So you can build all these extensions. And so there is a Shiny Live extension that once you have that in, which it's in mine, it's there's an extensions here, and here it is, the Shiny Live extension. So just download that thing, and that has a lot of the other pieces that you need, a lot of JavaScript files and things to make this all kind of work together. So it's here, and it's kind of supported already. And yeah, a couple years old now. So they've really thought this one through a lot, I think. And I just the idea of being able to ship a Shiny app inside a website that is otherwise a static website is such a useful design tool, let alone the fact that it's like this security feature that I'm not sending your sensitive documents to some server, but I just much prefer to build apps this way. Like it's so much nicer if I don't have to worry about that server. And I mean, this is posted on github.io. This is GitHub pages serving this thing. So it's not, there's just a static site, which is just mind blowing that this works. I was like, could not believe it worked. But yeah, so this is a kind of a combined talk. It's really trying to highlight Shiny Live and its integrations with Cordo that are really nice and lovely. So if you're building a Shiny app and your use case is something like this one, where there's nothing sensitive about it, and it's really just, a data browser type thing, and you just want to give someone access to that to let it, and anybody can see it, I would go here first, actually. I would not even go with a normal Shiny app and deploy it. I would just go for a static Cordo site, put it on GitHub pages, serve it, and there you go. Now you have a live app. Now, like I said, there's limitations, and so maybe half the time was creating the app, and the other half the time was figuring out the dependencies that'll work, because there's a limited set of things that I can work with, and so you can extend that, I think, but you want to keep those apps as lightweight as you can, because they're just running in your browser. So I think working in Shiny Live takes a second layer of thinking about dependencies and how much can you do in the base language and get away with that. But again, we have tools now to make that for you. If you can solve it in a functioning Shiny app the way you want, it's a very small amount of work to go from that and say, hey, Claude, help me simplify this and get rid of some of these dependencies and work with an AI. That's one of the most helpful things I've done with an AI, is like just remove dependencies and replace with base R or base Python. It's just awesome. Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, the screener is there, and if you want to de-woke your content, you can use it. But otherwise, the technology behind it is very cool.
Cool. Well done.
And this is what I did on spring break instead of grade midterms.
Solve the scalability issues, so you have like 5,000 people or
True.
500,000 people.
Because they're using their own
Using
computer.
Their own browsers running it, right? Yeah. So I feel like there's kind of an unlimited scaling, to the extent that like the server that is serving the static website can handle it, but GitHub pages can handle quite a lot. So I'm not worried about that. That's a whole lot easier than serving like 5,000 sessions of a Shiny app. Yeah.
Have you thought about re-architecting Survey Down at all, or is that a different use case?
So we have a different use case. So I've gotten this question like as soon as I posted on like Blue Sky about Survey Down when we first made it. It was like the first question is like, what about Shiny Live? And I was like, oh, I know, it's so cool. And the real potential here is offline surveys, right? Does it work offline? Did anybody test it?
Just as yes.
It does. Yeah. So imagine, an offline survey. You have a tablet, you go to the site, whatever, you load the survey, but you don't have to be connected once you're in, and that could be really cool.
Really cool for rural, non-connected
Yeah.
places.
But yeah, that's the problem. So a survey is a two-way street where I need a server to collect the data that you're getting. Now, if you can store it locally, if you can find a solution to have like we build an app, like we build an iPhone app or an iPad app, or which I don't think would be too hard, But if we sit down and do the work to build an app, this is probably how I would do it. I would probably build it to support a Shiny Live type thing that runs in the browser on your app, and then it's storing locally on that device. And then whenever that device gets connected again, it like ships it to a database or something.
Could you just use a cookie or something like that?
Maybe we already do use cookies with Survey Down, but that's for page restoration. So if you're
Yeah.
taking the survey and you close the page, you come back up, you get restored where you were. But it is harder to store, let's say, 100 people's responses like just in the browser. You're really pushing the limits of like what you even should be doing, I think, with storage in the browser. And I'm less excited about that. I would rather have it save to some sort of file on the device, or like I said, within an app on the device, so that that device like can then be connected later and connected. So we've thought about it, but the two-way, the need to, we're collecting data from people and shipping it to a server.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And also all of our credentials are being shipped to you, right? Like when you ship out the app, you ship the whole thing. So our database credentials would be shipped to you, and then you now have them. So that's not great. Yeah, I don't think we can make it work, at least completely. There might be some offline applications where it might be useful.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right now, all these survey platforms require constant internet connection. So like even though there a lot of them support cookies, the cookies are only used for storing the sessions and current user data. And the cookies cannot replace the storage of the data set.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it breaks. We've
Yeah.
broken a lot of things. Figure that one out.
And the size of cookies is really limited. Like for example, if
Yeah,
you
it's very
create a
limiting.
survey with 1,000 or 10,000 questions, then say that you stopped at the 9,000, and then when you recover, you won't be able to recover because that's too much.
Yeah. It's going off topic from this one, but we basically only restore what's on the current page.
Yeah.
Is about all you want to be able to save in a cookie or something.
Makes sense.
Everything else, if you've made it to that page by clicking a next button, then it's already been shipped to the server. So
yeah.
you don't need to restore. It's already somewhere else. And it can be restored from there. Once you refresh, you'll just go grab it if it needs it. Yeah, I'm excited about Shiny Live. I'm also excited about Shiny for Python. I mean, I'll give it a little bump here. Like, I think they're doing awesome stuff. They're really building out a lot of it. So all those Python users out there who have seen us.
Python guide has a lot of the main packages.
Yeah.
So you can do so much with it.
Yeah.
Just all built in.
Yeah, so when it comes to WebAssembly, I would say the Python side of WebAssembly is, I think, much further along in supporting way more Python packages. So I think if you are a Python person and you want to experience what it's like to make a web app via Shiny, this is the way to go for sure for you. Like, it's going to feel much more comfortable to you.
I'm gonna
And,
try this
yeah.
because I was using Jupyter Notebook interactive widgets
Mhm.
and having fun, but having a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
And it felt kludgy. If this
Yeah.
might be.
I think I think especially this, if your goal is, if you're building, let's say, a tutorial or a website that you want to have people go through tutorials, like I have a book. Yeah, I have a programming for analytics book that is it's also a Quarto book. And it's all static stuff, right? It's like just showing you really basic things, but there's no reason this couldn't just be a live chunk. Like this could just be a chunk. I just hit a little, run it and you see the result, and then I can change this and you get a different result. It's very much in the style of a Jupyter Notebook, except I can just use Shiny Live or anything here. I actually don't even need Shiny Live. I can just use normal WebAssembly. There is also an extension for just using WebAssembly in a Quarto static page. So this is a static page that would be able to run a little R server via WebAssembly in the browser.
That's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And this is great because what I was
Yeah.
doing was through a Quarto book
Mhm.
page, launching
A Jupyter.
Binder
Oh yeah,
to then run the notebook.
Yeah.
And
probably not necessary, especially for teaching purposes where we're not
Yeah.
relying
no,
on
and I
some
just have
heavy.
a little graph that has
Right,
a very
yeah.
small data set that's just, showing exponential growth curve.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
a binder.
Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah.
No, it's a.
So web.
But I didn't
R?
know how to
Yeah,
get the
assembly?
interactivity without it.
Yeah, I know it's in here somewhere. I mean, I know there's an extension for being able to run code in little chunks, exactly like you would in a Jupyter notebook. But yeah, it's quite nice because the whole thing is just a static website. So again, this is being hosted ultimately on GitHub, but via Netlify. So this is all just plain Markdown here that's generating all this. And I could go back and replace every one of these with a WebAssembly powered live R sessions, and users can tinker with it. So Corto plus WebAssembly has gotten really cool. Like it is like a different version of a Jupyter book that you can just have static files with no server. And I'm very excited about that. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, especially for easy stuff, like where you don't have to
Right.
worry about.
There's
what
no
kernel
huge,
you're running
yeah,
on,
dependencies
anything
and
like
yeah,
that.
right. All
Well
right,
done.
well, that's it.
Congratulations.
Yay. All right, are we gonna end it here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's chat messages I didn't see. App should be named Orwell. Yes. Yeah, indeed.